Hello and welcome back to another episode of this week's watches, and this is episode 51, which is kind of cool to say, as our first episode of 2022. And what a great drop to start with. It is a mix of goodies from modern to vintage to super expensive to super affordable to everything in between, and exactly what you've come to expect of us here at Kibble Watches. And you know what's quite exciting? This is going to be the standard we're going to aim to keep every single week. Now, we have some exciting things in the works behind the scenes. That's definitely going to change the way things are done a little bit here at Kibble Watches, but this side of things, this core sort of affordable and interesting range of watches is always going to be what we do. So I'm very excited for what the future holds. Now, as always, down in the description, you will see a timestamp to each watch we're showing here today, so you can skip all my rambling and go to the exact watch you want to see. You'll be able to go to the website as well there, where you will see the price and all the extra details you need to know to obviously be able to make a purchase, and you can purchase directly from the website. And that's about it really. Obviously we are back in the office pretty much as normal now, so you can arrange a viewing, you can come and drop off your watch that you'd like to sell, even swing by for a coffee if we've got time. You know, we definitely want to do more of that this year, so get in contact. Before we dive into the goodies on the table, let's have a quick look what's on wrist. Now, I have been wearing pretty much since, I would say, December 24th, I think is when I got the watch. I've been wearing my yellow Christopher Ward, and I'll put a photo of it on screen, non-stop. I've been wearing it every single day. So I thought today was time to give it a rest, and I've actually put on my Fierce Brunswick Brown, one of 5 in the world, and I am going to be working on a full review video, hopefully coming soon, so keep an eye out for that. I just need to find the time and get that written and ready for you guys and girls, but expect it this year for sure. Now that we have all of that out the way, let's start on the watches, and I think we're going to start with vintage. We're actually going to start with the Angelus. What a watch to start 2022. I keep doing it. That's it. 2021 no longer exists. What a watch to start 2022 off with. An incredible Angelus, and we're probably starting off by pronouncing it wrong as well. There's so many varying pronunciations out there, and I can't actually narrow down which one's correct. Angelus. So I'm just going to say Angelus, and I'm probably going to say it different ways throughout this video, so don't get mad at me. But anyway, this is a gorgeous 1940s Angelus with a automatic, manually wound, Angelus 215 inside. And what makes this one so impressive and important is a mixture of things. You've got the fact it's from 1940s with that very, very reliable, very good movement inside. You've got the fact you have a gorgeous condition case, as you can see. Really, really fantastic. You have an original dial, original hands, all original patina that's aged beautifully, and gilting that just looks incredible. But where this watch really shines, and the most important part, is the fact this is 38mm, which for 1940s is huge. So it's kind of incredible to think that this watch came out of that period, and it's a black chronograph. And you've got to think, what was going on in the 1940s? Could this have been some unmilitary issued watch? Because there is a very similar one, not quite the same, but very similar, which I believe is the Hungarian army. I think it was the army, but incredible. And that one is issued. So it's kind of interesting to see that this very similar watch was issued. So this could have been made with the same intent, but maybe produced just after the Ward finished. We don't know. And that's the kind of beauty of vintage watches. And I think the most exciting thing when you get watches like this in. But yeah, really gorgeous. As you can see, start, stop, reset, as you would expect. Really, really nice. And as I say, condition is everything. This is one to definitely check out on the website. We've paired it on a new strap, of course, and I think it just looks really good. But let's show it on wrist and talk dimensions. And here we go on my 6 3/4, nearly 7-inch wrist. I didn't quite achieve my goal of 7-inch wrist over December. I didn't eat quite enough, almost. But there you go, 38mm by 47.5mm lug to lug, only 12.5mm thick and 20mm lug, so endless options right there. Really beautifully sized, and to think, as I said, 1940s, and it wears beautifully today. It's definitely modern proportions, especially as the whole thing is dial. I think that's an important thing to remember. Some people look at this watch and think it's maybe a bit too small, but yet will, you know, lust after a Daytona because a Daytona's 40mm. You've got to remember the Daytona might be 40mm, but the dial on the modern one is actually only 36mm, and this dial is definitely bigger than 36. So visually, on wrist, you'll be surprised by how big this actually feels on wrist. So it's definitely one worth checking out. From there, let's stick to vintage because we certainly have a few super interesting pieces. And let's go on to this Tyson, I believe is how you pronounce it. Let's have a look. Next up, look at this. This is tropicalized if there ever is one. I mean, look at that dial, bonkers. So this is a Tyson Skindiver chronograph, which is kind of awesome. You've got your 2 register right there, screw down crown actually, which is quite unusual for these models. Not all of them have it. So really nice that you've got that thread on there still. Oftentimes that thread goes and people convert these to normal because you can get these crowns. I've had a few like that. Not the end of the world, but this one is correct. And because it is a Landeron 248 inside, it's start with the top one, stop and reset with the bottom. So you can see that right there. Sorry about that. There's some knocking going on in the office and I think there might be a bird outside our wall, which is rather frustrating. But anyway, I hadn't wound the watch, so that's why it didn't start. There you go. You can see that is going. You're going to have to excuse that noise if you can hear it. I do apologise. But really, really interesting. It's on a Forstner, I always say their name wrong, Reproduction JB Champion spring bracelet, which are absolutely awesome. If I'm not mistaken, they put this on the Reproduction, oh, the name's left me, Nevadas. I think they actually used either a same one or a very similar one, but very, very cool. And very comfortable as well, so you've got that. Really great condition, nice case, you know, very interesting dial. You're either going to love that dial or you're not, that's okay. Not everyone's into this sort of patina tropicalization. And this watch is from the 1960s as well, so you've got all that 60s style and, you know, it's just really cool. But let's show it on wrist and talk dimensions. And here we go on my wrist. I love how this wears on the bracelet. It wouldn't have been the combination I would have gone for personally, but you know what, actually on, it works really well. So this is 37mm by 47mm lug to lug, 14mm thick and 19mm lugs, which makes this bracelet even better because obviously you've got 19mm bracelet, so you have options there. A gorgeous watch, one worth checking out, especially if you're looking for a vintage style chrono that isn't going to break the bank. From a chrono diver now to a skin diver, let's take a look at this absolutely gorgeous D4. One I was seriously considering keeping, but unfortunately I cannot keep any more watches. I've got to be good. I'm on my best behaviour, so let's have a closer look. Next up is this gorgeous D4 or Die4, however you want to pronounce it. It doesn't really matter because it is gorgeous. Skin diver. Stunning dial. I mean, look at those indices with the numerals, and you've got the lollipop seconds, so there's actually a loom dot on the end of that seconds. And these really pronounced arrow hands, again full of original loom as well. Dialing hands matching beautifully. Date over there at 3 o'clock, which is in red. This nice friction fit steel bezel. The case is in fantastic condition for its age. It's definitely worn, but you've still got those prominent chamfers and corners. This is the kind of watch that I really, really love. And I've had a few of these straps for a while, and I've only ever had one watch that really worked on it. It was a gorgeous vintage Universal Geneve, and you know what? I like it on this watch as well. I'm sure not everyone will agree, but that's okay. You can never get straps perfectly right. But this is a gorgeous 1960s diver. Inside an automatic Felser 4007, not a movement you see all too often, so it's nice when you do see them. Very good high quality movement, just not one that's as abundant as everything else, but really great condition, really beautiful watch. And for the money, I just think you're going to struggle to find things that are this good. You pay more for condition, certainly, but I think you can't go wrong in that way, because as years go on, this is only getting more and more expensive because there's just less out there. There's less hitting the market, and you've got to think the last one I had that was a really gorgeous skin diver that went to a collection, and it's still in that collection now. That may never hit the market again, or at least not for a long time. So when you consider those things, these good examples often don't come up that often. There you go, that's a mouthful. But let's show this on wrist and talk dimensions. Here we go on wrist. Look how perfect that is. Absolutely beautiful. This is 36mm by 46mm, 12.5mm thick, so nice and thin on wrist, and again 19mm lug width. So a bit awkward on the lug width, but again this strap I think really works. I think that looks gorgeous. And I don't think you can go wrong with this at all. So go pick it up before I absolutely regret not buying it. Next up, a true military RAF watch, the 6BB by Hamilton. Let's take a closer look. Finding these clean, all original 6BBs is getting more and more difficult regardless of the brand, and here we have a slightly more unusual Hamilton because it's the Geneve signed dial, which is slightly rarer. All original loom, you can see matching beautifully, nice condition case as well, nice prominent markings on the back. We'll take this NATO off so you can see, nice fixed spring bars as well, no adaptations made or anything like that. There we go, you can see the broad arrow, nice and clear, and lowercase bb. And inside this is a manually wound Hamilton caliber 649, and this one is from circa 1974. And again, the highlight of this is definitely that dial. And the caliber that's inside, what made this so important was its hacking. As you can see, I pulled out the crown, the second stop. That was quite an important feature of these watches because they have to be synchronized correctly in order to perform, duties that would need to be performed with this watch on wrist. And I think that's the really interesting thing of military watches in general. You often forget when you're wearing a watch, especially a vintage watch, that there's a story there. There's something that this watch has gone through. And with military watches, it's even more so. It's probably even more significant. And I think that's where watches like this have a story that we can imagine a little bit more. There's a bit more to it that we know, but not to the extreme of knowing exactly what this watch went through. And I think that's the beauty of it. But let's show on wrist, talk dimensions. And here we go on wrist. Again, I absolutely love how these wear. I think it's so perfect for a 70s watch. This is 36mm by 41mm lug to lug, that sort of cushion tonneau case. Only 10mm thick, so they wear super thin, which helps with the fact that there's fixed spring bars, so you're pretty much limited to NATO straps. So the thinness certainly helps in that regard. And 19mm lugs, again, a little bit awkward, but at the end of the day, most of these military NATOs you can get in 19mm because most of them were odd sizes, 19mm or 17mm on the smaller ones. So go check this one out on the website. I pretty much don't think you're going to find a better one for a better price at the moment on the market. We've got a fair few vintage in this drop. Let's have a look at one of my favourites on the table, and that is this Omega Cosmic. The Omega Seamaster Cosmic. These are awesome. Now, a lot of people get put off by the size because it's 33mm, and we'll get onto size exactly with the wrist shot, but don't be put off by it because whilst it is small, it wears a bit longer, and with the bracelet, it all adds to the way it wears on wrist. And I think you'll be pleasantly surprised. And at the end of the day, this is a very interesting watch, kind of over-engineered for what it needed to be. As you'll see from the case back, there is no way of opening the case. It's what's called monocoque, which is all one block. You go through the two-piece stem of the crown, and you take out the crystal, and you go through the front. That is how you open this up and get to the movement and the dial. And talking about the dial, it is a gorgeous sort of starburst effect, grained, I don't know what you'd call it, but it looks incredible. Really nice texture, which again just adds to the charm of this watch. Original loom on there as well, which again nicely coloured, and the case overall was in very good condition. This is a nice example. Most importantly, an original flat beads of rice, as I would call it. Some people still call this Jubilee. It's not Jubilee, but I'd call it a beads of rice style Omega bracelet. Super comfortable on wrist and just looks fantastic. And yeah, you just can't really go wrong. The reference is 166.023. This one's from circa 1969, same year they landed on the moon, which is kind of cool. And to change the date on this one, what you have to do is you pop the crown out one position to change the time, and then you have to go all the way out to change the date. As you see, you push, you pull, and then push, as you can see. That's how you do it. You do it repeatedly until you get to the date. Of course, making sure you're not in the position where it's going to be changing date anyway. To be on the safe side, I always say any time between 8 PM and 4 AM, try not to change the date. Just go around manually and get past that point until, like right now, we're at 10 past 10, then change the date into the date you need and change the time. That's just what I would recommend personally. But let's show it on wrist, talk dimensions. And here we go on wrist. So you can see it's a different way, not a different way of wearing a watch, but a kind of more unusual look on the wrist. Sort of the same way when you first see a square or cushion case. This isn't perfectly round, so it does wear better than the dimensions will lead you to believe. And the bracelet really helps with the size, in my opinion. This is 33mm by 36mm lug to lug, only 10.5mm thick and 18mm lugs. These do look fantastic on a strap, but as I said, I personally prefer on the bracelet, and it's nice that it's got it because you can't really just go find one of these bracelets, on eBay and guaranteed it will fit. Lots of different end links and so on and so on. So go check this one out on the website. And the final vintage watch on the table, it is a really cute and amazing Wittnauer. Next up is a very interesting little UFO almost Wittnauer automatic. I mean, what an unusual case shape. Look at those lugs. The way they sort of flare off the case with those chamfers. And again, you have it around the bezel. So the case flanks more down towards here and up towards here than it does at the sides. Very unusual, not something you see often. Very clean aesthetic, clean dial, and you can see you have a fixo strap or flexo strap, and this is an original JB Champion vintage one with curved ends. The chances are this watch probably wasn't sold on it, but the person who owned this watch originally probably went to a retailer and requested this strap or was sold this strap on the side when they did buy it. Because at the end of the day, that exact sort of fitting, you just don't see that often. It's not obviously flush and perfect, but it's as good as you're going to get when the brand hasn't made it themselves. Original signed crown, nice screw down case back, and inside here is actually a Wittnauer C11SR, which is basically a Wittnauer signed AS1701. Very popular movement, and this is from the 1960s, but let's show it on wrist and talk dimensions. And here we go. You can see on my wrist, super comfortable on this strap. It's certainly a look. It isn't for everyone. I don't mind it so much, but it's an interesting look. So 33mm by 35.5mm lug to lug, only 9mm thick, so nice and thin, and 18mm lug, so you can put a normal strap on there. I would recommend trying to reuse the curved spring bars or having some of the spring bars to hand that you can use. But a great looking watch, a very good price, so go check it out. Now that we have vintage out of the way, let's get on to the modern, and where to begin. We have 4 incredible pieces. We're going to start with the Doxa. Let's have a look at this Doxa. Next up is a watch that, even at retail, buying brand new, is stupendous value, and that is this Doxa Sub 200 Caribbean Navy blue dial, and this comes on its bracelet, original beads of rice signed with all spare links, but it also comes with a original Doxa fitted blue rubber strap, which is £120 on its own from the retailer. So you're getting a very, very good bargain, saving yourself some money on the watch, but also getting the extra strap that you haven't got to fork out the extra money for. But this is a really, really interesting looking watch based on some of their older divers, very clean aesthetic. Very, very nice case shape in the way it flanks, especially when it comes to those end links, which are smaller than the first end of the bracelet. That certainly won't be for everyone, but you know what, I don't mind it, because what it does, it keeps that flow of the case going very nicely to the clasp. And again, a very good bracelet, very high quality, all milled as you'd expect, solid end links, and you can see you got a nice little fishy there on the back. Beating away inside here is the automatic ETA 2824-2. Very reliable movement, again, especially at this price point. I just don't think you can go wrong. This is from February 2020, and as you can see, condition is very, very good. It's been hardly worn. But let's show it on wrist and talk dimensions. Here we go, fitted to my wrist right now, and that is super, super comfortable. This is 42mm by 46mm lug to lug, so way under that 50mm lug to lug, but it does wear quite wide, which is interesting on wrist, and it's quite comfortable. 14mm thick and 19mm lugs, which is a bit awkward, but you've got the bracelet and you have the fitted rubber strap, which is a very nice blue that goes with this blue perfectly. So I think you'll be spoiled for choice. Let's stick to the top 2 that are on bracelets. Let's have a look at this Christopher Ward GMT blue. Now, if you saw my state of the collection, you might be like, why is that there? Well, I actually swapped this basically for the yellow, which is now staying in the collection, but this one is for sale. So a watch that I added to the collection and sold within 2 days. Probably the longest running watch in my collection. But seriously, it was because that yellow one I just kept looking at. I thought I'd enjoy the blue more. And maybe I will, but the yellow is fitting, it's gorgeous, and I really, really like it. So this blue dial is now for sale. This is the Trident C65 GMT. 41mm with the blue dial, discontinued, they're no longer making it, and the blue was gone pretty quickly as well. And inside this one is the Sellita SW330, and it's from March 2019 with its box and papers. You can see it does come on its bracelet. It isn't the quick release one, but it does have the sort of glide quick adjust on the clasp, which is super, super convenient, super nice, and just built incredibly well. And you know what? I said in the video, the reason I love this design and always will, and maybe the white one will get into the collection at some point in the future, but I'm a big fan of the original Steve McQueen, even though Steve McQueen never wore it, but that watch, I like this bold orange hand. I like the steel bezel and how thin that is comparative to what the Steve McQueen was. And the 41mm size is so comfortable. It's incredible, really. Just a great looking watch and a great value proposition. But let's show on wrist and talk dimensions. And here we go on my 6 3/4 inch wrist, nearly 7 inches. But this is stunning. 41mm by 47mm lug to lug, only 12mm thick, which is super thin for a GMT, and 22mm lug. So again, you've got that overall big watch presence, but it doesn't feel big on the wrist. And I think that's a really smart way of creating the watch to look on the wrist. So well done, Christopher Ward. From there, let's have a look at a Unimatic Hodinkee edition. Let's take a closer look. Next up, a Unimatic. We haven't had one in for a little while now, and we always seem to get these in, and they always do really well. This is the Unimatic U2-H in collaboration with Hodinkee, limited to 500 pieces. A very interesting design, interesting case shape. I mean, you've got this center part, which is just a straight slab of metal, basically. You've got this incredibly curved top with the curved sapphire crystal, and quite a flat case back as well with a cute little turtle on there. Signed screw-down crown, or screw-down crown with their iconic sort of circle and dot. Pushed lug holes, which is super convenient. But again, the way this wears is very interesting. It's very unique. It's not really like anything else. And this whole design is very much Unimatic's thing. You've got half Californian dial, half just normal dial, which again is very interesting. I like what they've done. And inside here is a automatic Sellita SW200-1. A nice reliable movement, which is an upgrade from what they usually do, because if I'm not mistaken, they usually use Miyotas. So this is nice, and this one is from July 2021. It does come with its full box and papers. But let's show on wrist, talk dimensions. And here we go on wrist, and you'll see what I mean. Because of those straight lugs, it's very unusual. It's not like something I've really worn before in this regard. So it is 37.5mm by 47mm lug to lug. 15mm thick and 22mm lug, so endless options there. It does come on its original strap, which is in very good condition. There's a spare strap in the box as well, which is nice, but a good looking watch. And last but certainly not least, because it's an incredible watch, let's take a look at this Seiko Prospex Diver, 62 Maz basically. Really gorgeous colour scheme. Let's have a look. And finally, a gorgeous Seiko. This is probably one of my favourites in terms of the colour scheme of this reference. I just really like how that gold plays into the colour. And the dial is this slightly greyer. I don't know how to explain it. It's not black. Really, really interesting. Very comfortable rubber strap as well. Usually Seiko rubbers, in my opinion, aren't actually that comfortable. But this is very, very nice. Very well done. And it looks kind of nice as well. Single metal keeper. Nice tongue and buckle. But a good looking watch. This is the Seiko Prospex Diver 62 Maz, as I like to call them. SPB147J1. This one is from September 2020. It does come with its full box and papers. Inside is the automatic Seiko caliber 6R35. Very reliable, hacking, hand winding, automatic. All the bells and whistles you now expect. And that angle sort of shows that dial a bit better. You're getting all that sort of grey, almost maroonish, like bouncing off the gold on the dial. I don't know how to explain it. It's very, very unusual, very nice. And as always with these cases, very beautifully done, especially for the price point. Nice screw down crown. I do not think you can go wrong with these at all, but let's show on wrist and talk dimensions. And again, Seiko know how to make a watch wear well. This is 40.5mm by 47mm lug to lug, 13.5mm thick and 20mm lugs. Endless options, drilled lug holes, making it nice and easy to swap out. Well done, Seiko, because this is gorgeous. And if I didn't have enough watches already, this would be another contender for a new watch. But I don't need any more new watches, so buy it before I change my mind. So there you have it, guys and girls. That is the first drop of 2021. And we have many, many more to go until the end of 2021, 2022. See, I'm already doing it. In my spreadsheets, I'm already writing 2021. I keep forgetting 2022, that is what this is. But yeah, it's going to be an exciting year ahead. I hope you're excited too. And as always, if you have a watch you would like to sell, get in contact. All the details are in the description and on the website. The easiest way to do it is submit the sell form. I tried to get back within 24 to 48 hours. Please do forgive me if I take a little bit longer. We are quite busy, but I always do my best to at least give you a response that I will get back to you soon. So please just be patient, but that's the easiest way to do it, and anything else is all on there as well. But we look forward to seeing you here over a coffee, having a look at some watches, and we look forward to producing more content this year. We're working on many things. There's some exciting things ahead. But anyway, thank you all very much for watching. We'll see you all in the next episode. Take care.